So the first question is, what brought you to the U.S. to study?
Well, uh, over with me, I came here because of family, and I had to relocate here to be with family. And in my process of being here, I decided to pursue higher education, which, in terms of doing that, I decided to get a master's in finance. So coming here was mainly being with family, and secondly to pursue higher education.
How would you describe your higher learning experience in the U.S.?
I think it's more practical compared to what I'm used to back in Ghana, where everything has to be theory. And here you get the chance to practicalize everything you study, and it kind of prepares you for the real world, unlike back home where we just work with theory and you don't even get any practical aspect of it.
So, you say practical aspect. Do you think that the learning, they talk to you about real world, what you can apply what it is that you're learning? Is that what you?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So with here, the things that I study, it's in line with what do you call it, the real world. For example, I think I did something in school where we had to write a paper on what do you call it? What do you call it? What's the name? A proposal, a business proposal.
Okay.
And I recently tried to, at my place of work, I created a proposal in trying to manage a branch. All the things that I took from what I studied in class was excellent. They saw it and they thought it was a beautiful area. And this was something that I had done as my final presentation in class. But over in Ghana, we're just going to study the theoretical aspect of it, where we don't actually put them in practice. Even if you're going to put it in practice, you don't have a market where you can apply that to.
Okay. So. How do you feel about your education in the U.S. so far? How do you feel about it?
So far I think it's good. I've developed so many things by studying here. Uh, Comparing it to what I'm used to, I don't think I've been able to like apply anything that I study, and maybe it might be because of the program that I did and what I find myself now. Maybe that might be the distinction, but what I'm doing now is in line with what where I'm working, my place of work. Unlike my undergraduate program, I'm not in that field, so
Okay.
maybe that's the distinction with that.
What challenges have you faced? Okay, what challenges did you face before coming to the U.S. In your community or period? Were there any challenges that you had before you came to the U.S. that helped you decide to come here?
So challenges, one I'd say with the school system, since that's what we're talking about. With the school system, it's very difficult to get into a program that you prefer and require. This is because there is a little demand, a little not demand, a little supply in what you're looking for. Let's say back in Ghana, I wanted to go to law school. I had to go through the route of going to have political science because the demand was so high that the supply couldn't meet the number of people who were applying. So I went through a chain of doing political science, and then from political science, I was able to go to law school before coming here, which I felt it was a waste of time because if it were here, I could have just gone directly or straight to the program that I want without having to waste about 4 years in a program that I actually didn't even need.
So the options for the schooling majors are fewer.
Correct.
Okay, and why is it fewer?
Because the institutions are not many. There are few institutions, and they're trying. there's a system where they have private institutions that kinds of supplement that, but you don't get the same quality education that you would get in the government tertiary institutions in Ghana, like the ones you get in the private. The ones that can provide that are extremely expensive. You can't just afford it. So if your parents can afford the private ones, then you have to do whatever you can to pass your grades to get to the government ones. And even with that, when you pass, there is not the supply for it. You have to join 1,000 people looking for a 60 slot.
So what do you think of the difference in the classroom instructions, activities, the classroom assignments? What do you think are different in the U.S.? The teacher-student relationship. How would you?
Over here, I think it's better than back home, because the teacher-student relationship, it's more personal here. Currently, my current class, we are a student group of 4 people in class. Whereas in Ghana,
it's only 4 students now?
Yes, only 4 students with us currently in my class. That's our, what do you call it, capstone class. So
okay.
We are 4 people. But in Ghana, we can be in a class of 260, and we use halls for classrooms. So we have a theater in my school, KNUST, that took about 400 students. And all of us will be there. The teacher uses microphone. How do you even assess your student individually and know their strengths, their weaknesses, and how you can help them, rather than just putting it on one grade? And by marking so many students, sometimes they don't even mark them themselves. They give it to other classroom students to mark it. Like, technically, that's what happened. I've marked a professor's papers, exam papers before, because it was too many, he couldn't. And they teach other programs too. Like, he might have 4 classes that he's teaching 300 people. So he won't have that one-on-one relationship with all the students. Having 1,000 students in a semester, that's not possible.
I heard another student that I interviewed said that before he came to the U.S., he heard that schooling was very easy here. The work was easy.
It's true.
That it was much easier for him, for people. But once he got here, he realized that it wasn't so much that it was easier. It requires you to do your own guided work outside of. Do you think that it's easier? The assignments are easier?
I would subscribe to what he's saying, but not fully, because I'd say it's still easy, but it's more electronic. That's how I put it. Like, I use a typical example. Most of the things, they have to post it online.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not technological savvy, you might struggle to get those things done. Therefore, you might think it's very difficult for you to go outside your box to get it. Whereas in Ghana, they have to print out sheets to bring it to class. To get everything is handed to you for you to go make your own research, go make your own copies. The only challenge here is, and I would say it's easy here, honestly, because here they kind of give you a book, study it, and basically give you where the exams is even going to come from. Whereas in Ghana, it's not like that. You have to study a whole 4 books with about 200 pages, and then the exam, nobody's going to tell you where it's coming from. So you kind of have to learn across board and be prepared. If the exam comes from maybe textbook A or textbook B or textbook C, you just answer it. So if you don't study textbook B and you studied A and C, and the exam questions are set around B, then you're out of it.
He said the same thing that he also talked about. There are teachers who sold materials. So if you didn't buy the materials from them, sometimes they felt like you weren't going to learn. So he said that they wouldn't pass you.
I failed 2 papers as a result of that.
Because you didn't buy the materials.
Yeah, I didn't buy it. It was an IT class, and when the semester started, my dad was supposed to send me money to get the book, and he didn't, so I couldn't afford to buy the book, so I didn't buy it. I failed that paper, and the second semester again too, I didn't buy it, and I failed that paper again. So I had to reset for that particular paper. And I went to his office to buy the book from him. I didn't study for the paper, but I passed it. For some reason, I passed it just because I bought his book. So sometimes it's a way for professors to sell their books, so they know, okay, if you buy my book, because the sheet will come around the class, all those who are buying the books put your name and your index number down. They pass it in the class, everybody. So if your name is not on that sheet, that means you didn't buy the book, and you 100% will fail that paper. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he mentioned that, and I yeah. Well, I guess it's the same concept. If you don't buy the book here, how can you read the material? But
I don't think if you don't buy the book, you can read the material. Like in my case, I studied the material from my roommate because I was in the same room.
So you did get an opportunity to have the material.
Correct. I was in the same room with one of my classmates. So when we get home, maybe he will be studying sociology, and then I will be studying political science, which is the book I didn't buy. Or maybe he'll be studying political science, and I'll be studying IT, which might be a book that I didn't also purchase. So it doesn't mean maybe I didn't have access to it. And in Ghana, you can make copies, unlike here where there is copyright regulations on you not being able to make copies of people's book. There you can make photocopy of a book. So someone can buy it, but I can copy it and then study it myself. So, yeah.
So you don't think there were any challenges in the way in which the classroom system in the university is set up here versus the way it is in Ghana? There was no language barriers. There were no differences with the way students treated you in the class. Were you accustomed to, like, did you all have to do group projects or do a lot of discussion in the class, journaling? Was there any instructional pieces that were different? So you mentioned you had to write a proposal, and it was something that could relate to you doing your job. But was there any other in-class differences or challenges that you were faced with when studying here?
No, I think the rest will be the same, because we did have a group class discussion. We did have presentations together as a group. We did have the professor, talking to us. The only thing is, like you mentioned, language barrier. Sometimes it wouldn't be a language barrier from, let's say, my side, because sometimes when the professor's here speaking, I can understand exactly what you're saying. But when I happen to respond back to them with their question or an answer, the question they asked me, giving them back an answer, they then don't understand. They have to maybe get closer to you or have you repeat yourself several times, and sometimes it gets very uncomfortable when you have to keep saying the same thing over and over again just because somebody don't understand you. That would be the only thing. Over in Ghana, we all had the same accent, so you could understand what everyone is saying. But here, yes. And I had a classmate in class that she couldn't understand what the professor was saying, because she was from a francophone country where they spoke French. So her English wasn't that good like somebody who would be from Ghana. So she struggled with English. And when a professor is speaking their English, especially the way the accent here, it was difficult for her too. So anytime after class, she then asked me, so what did he say? Like, what was he saying? Because she felt by asking that in class, people might look down on her or not make fun of her. So she wouldn't say anything but would ask after class. So I think it's...
So you didn't have any problems with, like, relating to the other students, or
here or back in Ghana? Here, I think it's groupings. So when you get to class, for some reason, you find people grouping into people that you're comfortable with, and it's a generic thing, whether you like it or not. You see people associating with people that you're comfortable with, and back in Ghana, I didn't see that. Everybody could relate to everyone, but here, especially with race and all that, people try to associate with the group of people they want.
Okay. So how is the university supporting your educational goals? And so what are your educational goals? And what I mean by educational goals, I mean when you came to the U.S. and decided to go to school, what kind of goals did you set for yourself? And how is the university helping you with those?
And I would assume that would be with Webster.
Yes.
So when I came here, my goal was to start a program with a degree that when I'm done, it will kind of prepare me to take my LSAT exam. But in the meantime, waiting to get ready to take my LSAT, I decided to get a master's program that would kind of make the time go by. So when I applied to Webster, I was given I think they normally assign you to there's a name for it, I don't remember. You get assigned to someone who you can talk to, kind of guide you with everything.
You get assigned, really?
Yeah, they have one. There's a name for it. I don't remember.
Do international students get that, or
Yeah,
all students?
I don't know if it's all student, but I think it should be all student, because
Is it a mentor?
a mentor or so. Yeah.
Was it a mentor?
It's I should say it's a mentor, because if I have to register my class, she's the one I have to reach out to in terms of registration and everything.
Oh, is she like the counselor, or?
Probably it's a counselor, yeah.
So everybody gets assigned.
Yes,
She's the
everybody.
person who registers.
Who registers
Okay.
me, and if I want to check anything with the grades or need like to be talked to or anything, she's the one. I expected more from it, and I've said this in one of my presentations in class before. The role of them, for what I knew and assumed it was going to be, was kind of have a personal relationship with the student, and then find out what you're doing, the struggles you're going through, the issues, and how they can help them, areas of registration or whatever. These are people who never reach out to you. The only time you try to reach out to them is when you're trying to register. And even with that, they make themselves so busy that you can't even reach out to them. Other people would have to register you. But from what I knew, their role and their job, which what they're supposed to do, is to be reaching out to each student and then guiding them in the process. If they're going through maybe emotional or mental issues relating to their education, not personal, but related to their education. I don't think they do that, and that's an issue that I've had with Webster, and it kind of has to be changed. Secondly, I think, and I've said this in one of my presentations too, Webster focuses on enrollment, and that's not a good thing to focus on, because if you're able to enroll 200 people, and at the end of the semester 190 leaves, you've done nothing. The focus should be on retention, and I've said that several times. They should focus on retaining students. When you treat the people you have in your school well, they go by word to mouth, and other students will come to the school. Not focusing on enrolling new students, and every year you get 290 leaves, then you only have 10. Rather, focus on retaining that 200 and get 10 people to join, and then you have 210, rather than just having 10 people. So I think that's the area Webster is not doing really well, because other schools are focusing on retention. They are not all about enrollment. Because I had friends I started the program with, but they've transferred. They stopped the school because...
What did they say? Why? Why did they say?
So one was the issue of I think I have to get the name. Who is it? The counselor, whoever, not making time for them. Two, it's kind of like just a program that they come in. They don't care about the students. That's how they feel. They don't feel like they care about them. It's all about come in, get your degree, and just get out. But if you care about students, you put in programs that would get them interested. You put them programs that will make them excited. You do things that would entertain students. like sports activities, other stuff. But for the master's program, come in the evening, get your class, and then you're done. It's 9:30. I'll see you next week. That's technically what it is. And the professors don't care to have a relationship with students, find out how their work went, how work is going, what are the things we can accommodate you to make sure your educational life is balanced. They just care about give you assignment and then you're out.
Which is interesting because I'm sorry, I'm trying to type all of this, although I recorded it. One of the questions that you started addressing was how does this university support your educational goals? And really, from what I'm hearing, is you kind of are left to meet your own goals. There's really no real support from the university or from the professors.
Yep.
And school is so expensive. You should have support. You don't live on campus, right?
Yes.
So, has anybody from an international relations department or the international department called or tried to contact, send emails, or?
In my almost 2 years of being in the school, I've never had a call from anybody from international department or even the Webster department. The only time I had calls were when I was applying for the school. I was getting ready to get enrolled. At that point, I used to get calls almost every week. I was like, hey, did you send your email in? Have you sent your transcript? And the moment I started, I've never had a call from anyone from the school. I have to be the one to call.
So as an African student, you don't think that they support international students at all? There's no... So if you did not have family here, you would kind of be left on your own.
That's
do you
correct,
think?
Yeah. Because I'm sure they should have a database of African students that are here. Sometimes when you come from a different culture, they shouldn't just assume that you should know because it's a different environment, it's a different culture. You might think there's an information out there that they can reach out to and get it, but what if the student doesn't know that there even exists? There's something like that exists for them to even reach out to. If there's an information, they should make it available and then have a database where international student, if there's a president, there's whatever of that, he should try and reach out to them. He should try and organize a meeting. He should try to call or text everyone, find out when it's okay to call them, text them, seat them, or meet up to discuss what is bothering them. But I don't think...
So did you know there was an African student organization on campus?
I heard that through one of my friends, yes.
Yeah, there is one, and that's who's been helping me contact African students. There is one, but nobody has ever tried to reach out to you from that organization.
Yep.
So do you even know where the international office is on campus?
Yes, I see
the
signs are.
Okay. Let's see, I think... So what, if any, event or thing have you experienced that shapes the way you see yourself and the world around you since you've been studying at the university?
I mean, like I started mentioning, being able to apply the things that I studied in school, it's something that has really shaped me because prior to coming here, hosting a presentation, just standing in front of a group of people was something that I would be shy of doing or be nervous about. But constantly doing it every semester or semester after semester improved my presentation skills, it improved my confidence level where now I can talk in the presence of multiple people and not even be bothered about who is looking and who is not looking. Also, I'm able to prepare for, like I mentioned, proposals, that's something that I have really benefited from, to a company and saying, hey, this is what I'm looking at, adjusting with the courses that I've done over time. Some of my finance classes that teaches you looking into forecasting of the business asset, looking at the growth and telling all to make sure what you're saying is not just about looking for one particular end, but look at the whole organization as a whole. Being here has helped, unlike in Ghana, and it might be because my course is different. If I have to do maybe political science thing here, where I have to work with the government, and maybe I might be able to apply what I studied in Ghana.
Okay.
But currently, my occupation is aligned to what I'm studying.
So, is there anything about your educational experience that has made you look at the world, things that go on in the world differently, look at just life in a different perspective?
Yes, that would be this semester. My capstone, I'm working with one professor, Professor William, who he travels a lot. He travels to China, takes classes to China, and he's made mention of certain things that you can look back to your country where you're from, and he would encourage everybody to go to China and see what's there and see how they can impact the development on China. And it made me think about how, and I asked him in class about a certain product that if I could get that product made in Ghana, made in China, and he was like, sure, but you have to go there first, go there, go see the opportunities available, go there, go meet with the locals and see what will fit back in your country. But you can't just sit from afar and make a decision and then go there, realize they don't have it. So this class makes me think about the whole, like my country as a whole, as in things that I can learn from here or get from other countries and go apply it there and see if I can help them.
I think, have you noticed any changes or transformation in your own behavior since you've been here studying in the U.S.?
It's been the same.
I think that is it. I think you've answered. So you don't see a real transformation.
No.
Because of school.
Yep.
But I'm wondering if it's because of, like, you're not fully immersed in the schooling process. You really just kind of go to class and...
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think if I were to be experiencing the whole school system with all that it came with it, let's say have somebody reach out from the International Student Union or department, and then trying to get to know you, trying to build a relationship, trying to see how they can help you. Because if I didn't have family here and I lived on my own, then I would kind of be left alone to do things myself. I have friends who are here by themselves and they don't know anyone. Sometimes they struggle to even find on-campus jobs, because I know there are campus jobs they can do to help themselves, but they struggle to get it, and there's nobody helping them doing that. So me personally, I don't benefit from the school aside from going to class and then paying my tuition, but the school has more to give, which I'm sure they just want people to reach out to them before they can do something, rather than they trying to gather data and then go out to find people to help them or get them integrated in the system.
Is there something you'd like to tell me based on the questions you've heard, or any other comments you think are noteworthy? Or
I think the most important thing is the student retention thing, and I've done 2 presentations on it already. So they should focus more on that, trying to make sure the students are well taken care of, and not just focus on getting new enrollment in.
Student retention, okay. Do you have any suggestions that your teachers, professors could do? No?
No.
Okay.